Welcome, everyone, to the Sonoma Spiel. My name is Tim with the Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau. I just flew in from San Diego, and yes, I'm going to say it, boy, are my arms tired. Here's where I was. I was at the Visit California Outlook Forum. It's an industry conference. What I really enjoy is getting together with other people who work in travel and kind of talking shop, finding out what's happening. Turns out everything's AI. I'm not even real anymore. That's all we're doing. We're just doubling down on AI. That was a big conversation and part of the thing. Also, international travel. Looking for the Canadians. Where are you? Hey, Canada, come visit, please. We're sorry. And then also I was able to lead a panel called On Beyond the Visitor Center. And the concept was based upon actually a Dr. Seuss book my mom used to read to me called On Beyond Zebra, where this boy thinks he knows everything because he knows the entire alphabet, A to Z. And then another guy says, no, there's a whole bunch of different letters beyond Z for zebra that you have to know. It's not just apple to zebra. There's so much more. You have to think and be creative. And so we were talking about really creative ways that the visitor centers can be more than just handing things out, that they can work with the volunteers that are there, they can work with the staff that are there, that you can go out into the community and go on beyond just being where people come to you. And I had a great time. It was really neat. Visit California. They do for the state what we do for Sonoma Valley. And I got to say, we're both doing a pretty good job. So good job, and I had a fun time. And that reminds me, this week I have a very special guest. Now, I know every week I say I have a very special guest, but this time I do actually mean it. I have somebody who is a theater performer, who is a travel agent that deals in beer. I have somebody that is also a volunteer in our own visitor center. And before we hit record, she had like 25 other jobs she admitted to doing. I have Chelsea Smith. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Tim.
Good.
Thank you. But before we begin,
Yes.
I do have to do something.
Do it. Into the microphone.
Into the microphone.
Into the microphone.
Hopefully they don't.
You're cracking open a beer.
You got to.
I know.
I'm handing it over.
Thank you. I'll
over
hold
some
it
very
here.
expensive equipment.
Yeah, we'll hold it. Make
I'm
sure.
gonna crack
nothing,
open
yeah,
mine.
like the cords here don't like get zapped or anything like that. Do it.
I gotta crack open mine.
Oh, that was great. You should be
Don't tell Bob.
You should be a gaffer.
I should be a gaffer.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers. Over.
There we go. Boom. There we
Boom.
go.
And then you gotta.
And,
I don't know.
I'm gonna do a quick drink there.
I gotta turn.
Oh,
it
that's
on.
great. That's
I am
great.
not endorsed by Sonoma Springs, but
Really?
we're drinking a Sonoma Springs.
It's a German Pilsner, Pilsomatic from Sonoma Springs.
It's delicious.
And pray tell, Chelsea, why did you bring a beer to the podcast?
Honestly,
Here on a Monday morning at 8 a.m.
Okay, first off,
Yeah.
what day do you think this is?
Okay, it is Friday afternoon.
This is also Friday the 13th.
Oh, it is when we're
So
recording
this
it.
is
That's
like
right.
this is like a safety beer.
It is. Okay, thank you.
Whatever else happens,
It's insurance.
it's insurance.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we have to finish it by the end.
Just because the day
Yeah.
might be bad.
Yeah, and I'm not doing anything after the rest of the day. No, okay.
Good.
Are we jumping in?
Well, tell me, cause why? Because why would you bring beer? What's the story?
Okay. So I lived in Germany. So
Okay.
we'll just put that.
Oh, so
put that out
Prost.
there.
Prost.
Thank you.
Yep.
Danke. Yeah. Ich spreche Deutsch for anybody out there.
Yeah.
You have a German last name.
I do indeed.
It means teeth.
It is so funny. You're one of the few people that knows that Zahnpasta is toothpaste.
Yeah. Yep.
And it does
Timothy
indeed.
Teeth. I'm just gonna call you that from now on. Honestly,
I am Timothy.
Mr. Teeth.
There you go. Wasn't there Dr. Teeth in the Muppets? Wasn't he the guy that played the keyboards? Yeah, in the Muppets band.
Is it the dog?
No,
that's
that was
Rolf.
Rolf. No, in like the
Big guy.
Yeah, was
He's
his name Dr. Teeth?
He has teeth.
I'm gonna look that up.
Look it up while I'll tell you about what I
tell
do.
me about why.
Okay,
why you have
so
beer.
then we can talk about my Lagunitas days
we're gonna
later.
get into
So
that.
then for about 7 years, I worked
Yes.
at Lagunitas in tons of different places.
Right.
Within the company.
Right.
And then I struck it out and did other things. I decided to dabble in wine and spirits before I ended that whole career. And I was like, you know what? I have always wanted to be a travel agent.
Okay.
Which is most people think I'm joking because who uses a travel agent
We're going to talk
anymore?
about that too because my sister-in-law just asked me like, wait, are there still travel agents?
I know.
And there are because one's here drinking beer with me.
Exactly. Thank you.
So
that's when I was like, you know what? Full circle.
Okay.
I lived in Germany.
right.
I love beer.
You love beer.
I love independent breweries.
Okay.
And I was like, how do I just combine all of those together?
Yeah.
So I decided to start a hosted beer cruise along the Rhine River that cuts through Germany
Right.
and into Switzerland this August.
So so hosted means, are you the host?
I'm the host, but I'm also bringing along an actual beer expert.
Like, so somebody that speaks German, actual German.
Actually, she worked at Lagunitas.
Oh,
Her name is Rebecca Newman.
Very, very German name there.
I know. We're all German here, I guess. With my last name of Smith, I could be anything. So Rebecca, she was our director of quality at Lagunitas when I was there.
Okay.
But she started out, she worked at Sam Adams. She invented one of their torpedo glasses. So she's like instrumental, 30 years in the beer business. And I do have to say a special shout out to women in the beer business.
You know, Chelsea, you might not know this. I had one of the people who started the craft beer renaissance, or renaissance if you're British, when New Albion Brewing Company, which is based here in Sonoma, it was here off Denmark Street. It was the beginning of craft beer. There's a historical placard on the tree right by where it was. And I've had it on the podcast before.
What?
Yes. Yeah. New Albion Brewing Company, which begat all these other breweries. Anchor Steam was a part of that. I mean, Anchor Steam's been around, but they kind of came back. But there was a lot of beer begatting. Lagunitas could probably trace its stuff back to right here, because a lot of people know we are world famous for our wine. We're very good at wine. Our food is fantastic, but we do have a beer culture.
We have a huge beer culture.
And evidently, so hold on, you're going to go, for some silly reason, you're going to leave Sonoma. You're going to go to Europe. You're going to be on a boat.
Yep.
A woman named Rebecca Newman is going to be like your guide.
Yes.
And you're going to like just row your boat to breweries.
Absolutely. It is a luxury cruise. So we're actually
there's a
going to be
stuff.
taken care of.
Right.
So Rebecca is actually working with independent breweries up and down the Rhine River.
Okay.
Because she has contacts all over the globe, which is
wow.
not every brewer does this.
Right.
But she's excellent. So she's going to like roll kegs onto the boat for dinner and be like, all right, we're going to get this one. Get it in before anybody notices.
Yeah, okay, it says right, you start by exploring Amsterdam, which is the Netherlands. Then it's off to Germany, where you'll discover not only the grand city of Cologne, Kolsch beer is from there, but charming villages like the winemaking hamlet of Rudesheim and the university town of Heidelberg.
Yeah.
And then enjoy cruising through the UNESCO-designated Rhine Gorge.
Gorgeous.
40 castles. Along the riverbanks.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And then you go into France's Alsace region, into Strasbourg.
No, you got it. You got it.
And take in spectacular panoramas of the Swiss Alps. And then you'll go to these. This is great. You go down the river. You stop at breweries. This lady, Rebecca, is like, hey, let's talk beer.
Yeah.
And the history of it.
Absolutely. So if you're not a beer person, which my fiance is not, you could go do German beer stuff. Like, get off the ship, go do a German brew tasting at an independent brewery. But your partner, your friend, or you yourself, if you're not into beer, can go do like a wine tasting. You can do a city walking tour. You can do a biking tour.
Okay, so little add-ons and stuff like that.
So everything's included. There's one price. It covers everything.
Okay.
It's not one of those like, Carnival cruise ships. It truly is one price covers everything.
We love deeply. If Carnival wants to sponsor this podcast,
if you want to sponsor me and Tim,
we need to talk about getting a cruise terminal into the old Sonoma Creek.
Dude, you know that I talked to Royal Caribbean about that. Not gonna lie.
Is it like Tour of the Mudflats? Like, how can we get it up to like?
I'm gonna drudge it. I don't know if you know this, but I am very buff.
Exactly.
Thank you.
People who don't know this, I'm so glad that you have covered your amazing biceps and triceps.
I didn't want to embarrass you.
Yeah, it's just terrible. But we could theoretically, Sonoma Valley ends in the San Pablo Bay, and there were small boats that would come up to bring products to San Francisco and the other market.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, it's not like a no that there never will be a cruise ship in Sonoma. It's just a very small chance.
It's like a cruise boat.
It has to be like a cruise skiff. A cruise canoe.
Paddleboard.
A cruise canoe. A paddleboard.
Stand-up paddleboard. Everybody individually rows in.
It's very narrow. You would have to dredge it. It's a little muddy, and it's very dependent on the tides.
I think it's beautiful.
But we do have the Jack to Jack yacht race up in Glen Ellen. And that is a yacht race on the Sonoma Creek. The yachts are 30 inches long.
Girl.
They're they are scale models of yachts.
Say, hold on.
And there's actually Bob here from the station. He's in a canoe sometimes helping him push him along because they get stuck in the branches.
I want to do that.
It is. Yeah.
How many other things can I volunteer
All
for
of them.
up here?
All right, let's get into this. Chelsea, how did you end up in the travel agent world? Because You were also you volunteer at our visitor center. You can fill in and stuff there. You also do theater. You seem to wear a lot of hats. Where are you from, Chelsea?
Folsom Prison.
Folsom Prison. So you're from the town of Folsom.
There is a town in Folsom.
Is there really? Folsom's also known for gold country, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like Sacramento, and then if you wanted to stay on the 50 to go to South Lake, you're going to pass Folsom.
How far is it to get to the mountains from Folsom? Or are you kind
Which
of
mountains?
Well, the skiing mountains.
Oh, an hour.
Okay, so you're like we call it the foothills region of California.
Exactly.
Do they call it gold country?
They do.
Do they
yeah, if I would go up a hill, I'm more in gold country.
You are.
That's when you have like El Dorado Hills.
Yeah, you become old timey,
Yes.
and they have shops that are SHOPPE and mercantiles and stuff
Yeah,
like
you can
that.
get taffy at those
Can I
shops.
ask you a question?
Yes.
Were like the 1850s just full of taffy?
I think so.
Because every time you go to like Columbia State Park or any of those like old timey places, it's like taffy.
How do we not have taffy here?
That's like,
Have we ever had taffy in Sonoma? We are old timey.
why do we not have a taffy store?
Tiddlywinks,
great-
get involved.
I bet you she has some. I bet you.
Oh, she definitely has
We'll
some.
ask her. All right, okay, so you're from Folsom, and then how did you end up here? Did you go to school?
Yes.
Did you join the circus? What did you do? Well, because you're a performer. I know that. So
That's not
yeah,
out of the realm of possibility.
What's your journey here?
So Folsom is just within 2 hours, give or take a little traffic, to get to Sonoma.
Okay.
So when I was deciding where I wanted to go to university, of course I was looking into Davis and Sac State and UCLA and things like that. And I go to Davis.
Right.
And it's like impersonal and it's big. And I was like, I have to buy a bike to
That's
get
awesome.
around.
That's awesome. And they had that burger place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a reader, Tim. I don't get out.
You told me that you're a vampire.
So I'm like, okay, university. Everybody says you got to go to a university. So I should keep it on the list. But then I did one weekend. My friend at the time, she got into Sonoma State.
Okay.
And that was like my throwaway school.
Okay. Yeah, that was like your
My state
consideration.
school,
Yeah, your safe school.
My safe school. Yeah. So I go up with her for the weekend, and it was the most beautiful drive I've literally ever seen in my life.
So coming through the hills, because you came down through Napa, came up through Sonoma, went over to Roanoke Park. Especially if you go over, you probably didn't, but if you go over Sonoma Mountain into Roanoke Park, because you hit this beautiful redwood area, the Zen Center, and you work your way down. And there's the Santa Rosa Plain, where Roanoke Park's part of.
Yeah. And we stayed at Sonoma State University's campus for a couple nights.
Also, the names of the dorms there, it's like Chablis Village.
I was in Zinfandel. I was like, way to start me off
I know.
at 18.
That was great.
Drinking wine.
Yeah, versus, Bakersfield U, which has like Feedlot Village. But so at Sonoma State, what did you decide to like, I'm going to go to school here and study? Did you do theater?
I started in theater.
Okay.
Truly I feel like most drama kids in high school are dead set on making it a career right out the gate.
Really?
So I was like, done. Sure. I don't know what else I want to do because I don't want to work.
You did theater in high school, though?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
And then, so I started out the program, and then I quickly realized, I like it as a hobby.
Okay.
I don't actually want to do this, like, professionally.
Right.
So I switched over, and truly because I just wanted to get a degree and get out of there, I picked sociology.
Okay.
Because in the GE course list,
right,
it's like sociology is the one where most things you could just double count.
Oh, because they kind of, it's very broad.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I fell in love with it. But I always wanted to, I kind of used the university pathway to live abroad. So I studied abroad for a year in Germany.
I got junior year. You did that kind of thing.
My junior year, which is how I ended up in Germany and drank a lot of beer.
You're like, and there's probably sociology is a study of people and how they relate to each other. And beer drinking is like conviviality and hanging out and having a good time.
Community building.
Community building. You got to make beer, you need civilization. You need to grow the wheat and the hops and the barley.
And there's a whole culture around it.
Yeah.
So when I came back, graduated, literally traveled all the way, like all around the Europe.
Okay.
And so I had this like travel bug, that just gets stuck in you.
Yeah.
And when I got home, I graduated and then I started working at Safari West.
Okay, and where's that? Tell us about that.
It's in Upper Santa Rosa.
Thank you. Extreme northern Sonoma Valley.
Extreme northern.
It's so far out of Sonoma Valley, it's in a different valley.
Yeah. It's literally in a valley, basically in Napa.
Yeah.
honestly, I tell everybody that lives here in Sonoma, please go to Safari West.
It's great.
So great.
We had a Safari West sloth from the foundation on here a couple years ago, and the sloth did a good time. He kept grabbing the microphones with a little and doing stuff. But Safari West has animals.
Yeah,
rhinoceri.
Yep.
Giraffes.
Yes.
Wildebeestes.
Zebras.
They have both good gnu's and bad gnu's.
Oh,
stuff. But they also have, you can sleep there.
Yeah. That's the best part.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like the safari tents. They're nice tents.
They're like canvas, luxury resort style overnight accommodations.
Okay.
So truly, just pick a day that's cheap during the week.
Yep.
Just do it. Just go up there, have a great time. It's a great dinner.
You can hear the animals at night.
Literally hear the
And
animals
like
at
giraffes
night.
and stuff outside your tent.
Yeah.
What were you doing there, Chelsea?
I was a tour guide.
Oh.
It's hard to imagine me talking.
I thought you were in
and
accounting.
energetic
Yes.
and able to memorize facts.
So and the tour guides, they have these Jeeps, or they're not Jeeps, but like large vehicles that we would generically call a Jeep, that are double decker.
Yeah.
So people sit in the front, and the down bottom, probably like 10 people, and then it'd be like 3 or 4 up top.
Yeah.
I can't remember. And being up top is really fun when the giraffes are over you.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
slobbering on you. It's pretty amazing.
It's great because everybody enjoys the experience, and then in the rain or the extreme heat, everybody else is taken care of, and I'm like shivering in the car, getting rained on because there's nothing above me.
No.
So I learned that I can tan. I know it doesn't look like
if you need to, yes.
And it was like a tiny little sock tan after 5 years working there.
In the sun.
5-6 days a week.
It is hot up there. It can get hot up there in the summers.
Yeah. I got a tiny little sock tan, and I was like, look at that.
You did it.
I can tan.
You did it.
They're like, Chelsea, it just looks less pale.
And that was the last time you went outside?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know. I'm sure this has been indoors for a long time now.
So you're reading.
So I decided I needed to have like a 401k or something, or health insurance.
Okay. Well,
I don't know.
That matters.
So I went to GoPro.
You worked for GoPro?
For a hot second.
Really?
Yeah, I packed up my whole life.
I would like to say, don't say anything bad about GoPro until I've transferred the files from the GoPros we're using right now onto the server. Yeah. But you worked there for a little bit. Where are they based out of?
San Mateo.
Oh, they're local.
That's not local.
They're in the Bay Area.
Yes. Very South Bay Area.
No. South Bay Area is Gilroy.
Oh, okay. Yes. That's very
That's
South
down
Bay.
south. But so what you're saying is you went to San Mateo, where San Francisco's airport is for some reason.
Correct.
And you worked at GoPro. And what'd you do?
I worked in the R&D department, the research and development team.
Really?
I didn't do anything smart. I was just there, like, kept them organized.
Oh, it's like office stuff.
Yes.
You weren't wearing like one of those motion capture suits and like running around and seeing how good the
Gosh,
things
I
were.
wish.
Wouldn't that be neat? Yeah.
Although, fun fact.
Yeah.
I was part of the team that tried to did put together a 3D live footage feed. So we flew to China. This will be a fast story, but we flew to China with GoPro. Hooked up. I don't know if you've ever seen a wingsuiter.
Yeah.
Like the squirrel suiter guy.
Yes, those are nuts. The base jumper, people use those and stuff. Yeah.
So there's a crazy guy. His name is Jeb Corliss. Shout out to my Jeb Corliss fans.
What's up, Jeb?
So he had a helmet with like a big spike and then a GoPro facing him to like capture his jump.
It's kind of like a Red Bull kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, it was sponsored by Red Bull.
Oh, okay.
The amount of Red Bulls I drank and it's like not carbonated Chinese Red Bulls. It was awful.
Okay, so you're like you're hyped up
on
red number 5 and caffeine.
Yeah, but uncarbonated. It was awful. So he jumps out of a helicopter over the Great Wall of China while we're capturing it, and it's providing a live link footage back to San Diego, which was their main campus.
Really?
So we actually there was a segment on like the local San Diego news station of them doing a live GoPro live feed that was broadcast in like China all the way back to California.
Was this like a GoPro promo kind of thing / see how they work?
Yeah, and then it all went down the hill.
Oh, they did. Okay. The company gets sold?
The company didn't do very well with the GoPro Hero 6.
Got it.
So then my team, unfortunately, all got let go because R&D is expensive.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It is.
And so I had to, of course, the minute I knew I was being let go, I was actually really relieved.
Okay.
Because I knew I'd be going back to Sonoma County.
So you're like, okay, that's good.
I was like almost crying tears of joy because I was like, thank God, because honestly, I was kind of almost clinically depressed leaving Sonoma County
Okay.
because I had built up a theater community here, all up and down the 101 and
Right.
Sonoma Arts Live, and leaving that for a year, even though it was professionally a really good move, it was like emotionally devastating because
Okay.
I think when you get here and you live here, you get it. You
Yeah.
get why you belong.
You built your culture.
Yeah.
You had your tribe of people that
Exactly.
you're part of.
So happy to come back, and I got into Lagunitas, and I was there
So
for
you're working at, which is a small brewery.
yeah, it's totally small, very independent.
Had it been purchased by Heineken then?
Half. It was half purchased.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it was the
Lagunican.
it was the trickle
Yeah.
of Heineken
And now,
influence.
Lagunitas, which started in southern Sonoma County,
Yep.
northern Miranda area, depending, was in Petaluma. And they were famous originally for having great parties
Oh,
in
gosh,
their
yeah.
brewery. Then they had like the Lagunitas Beer Circus going for a while. I don't know if they
Yep.
still do that. And what they would also do was really amazing is they would, their marketing strategy was they would donate
Yep.
to any nonprofit. If you just asked them at the time, it was
As
it was,
much beer as you wanted.
yeah, you just had to fill out the form
Yep.
and give them enough time, and they were very community minded, which was great with them. They were always doing that, and they of course helped popularize the West Coast style, California style IPA.
Absolutely. They're kind of like the Kleenex of the tissue brand. When you say IPA, you just look at a can of Lagunitas
Yeah.
and you're like, that's
Yeah.
I thought they were the only ones that made IPA.
Right,
You know,
right.
that's what you see.
But no, and then they expanded to Chicago. I remember someone from back in the Midwest calling it Lagunitas, and I'm like, what are we talking about? See, let's have a Lagunitas. I'm like,
Yeah, you're like,
what is this
Is
beer?
that a pond?
I know. And then they showed me. I'm like, oh, Lagunitas. And then I'm like, maybe we're saying it wrong. Maybe it should be
Laguntas.
Lagunita. It's a Spanish word for small lake. Lagunitas.
Is it? I speak German, Tim. We've already discussed this. I don't speak Spanish,
I didn't
unfortunately.
see one via. Okay, so you were at Lagunitas, but you were back. Were you doing theater?
I was. I've done theater my whole life.
Okay, so you were a kid. Were you a kid that did like community theater, like children's musical theater, and all?
I
sorts of stuff?
wish. No, Sonoma is awesome. Sonoma
Folsom,
County.
Folsom didn't have that.
No.
Okay, so
Folsom, remember gold time.
old country, but you could be all like, we're all the old timey theater.
They're
and stuff,
better
playing
now.
piano. You came to Sonoma. You mentioned one of our local theater troupes, Sonoma Arts Live.
Yes.
They do a lot of musical theater, and they're based out of the theater that's inside the Sonoma Community Center. Andrews Hall, and they performed at our lighting of the plaza. We had some of their singers and stuff there. What were you doing at Sonoma Arts Live?
So I started there a couple years ago more regularly, and I'm love to be an ensemble member. So I'm a really good alto, sing that low sound, and so I did a bunch of shows there, and then got to do my first big lead role when they did the prom. So some of you may have seen the prom. Did you see it?
I'm a big fan.
What was it about, Tim?
Well, there was an alto for one thing, probably a soprano,
Probably a prom
And
mixed
probably-
in there.
10 or 20 other songs.
There's probably some.
Hey!
Ayo.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Did you click a button?
No, I should have. I was making sure the microphone.
Oh, I was like, do you have like a
I do
womp
have
womp?
No, I do have a soundboard in here. I just don't know how to turn it on.
Oh.
But they do. I got to figure out how to make sure. Yeah. I'll start doing that. It's the
should-
Morning Zoo with Tim and Chelsea. Wow.
Wow, wow. But it would be like everything. It would be like a different antelope from Safari West
That'd be
that I
great.
can. Yeah, I can get some sound samples.
You should just do them.
I could do that.
Oh my gosh.
I could do that.
Okay, so hold on. You did the prom, which was a musical,
Mm-hmm.
and then are there other ones you've done that I've heard of? Can I give you the full list of musicals that I know?
Absolutely.
Cats.
No.
I'm done now.
Oh, that's it.
Oh,
Just
Les Mis.
no.
Okay.
Can you imagine?
A chorus line.
No, but I would love to be in a chorus line.
Okay. Assassins.
No, but they did Assassins.
They did.
Like 10 years ago.
I saw that in San Jose when they were trialing it a long, long, long time ago.
What?
And it was back
That's
in the day.
excellent.
Back in the day, back in high school, I bought. This is funny. They had like really cheap tickets for high school kids to like. I think it was called San Jose Civic Light Opera or something. I can't remember what it was called, but it was. I knew nothing about it, and it was fun. Yeah, I was like,
That is
I don't know
probably-
why. I like tickets like $5 per. So I probably paid like $25 for a season pass. But you got to see like the dress rehearsals.
I love that.
It was really fun.
Also, those are probably the more fun ones.
It was. I was, and that's how I kind of got into that stuff. But I wouldn't. When I did theater, I did the improv stuff. I never did the musicals. Do you know why? Singing. and reading music.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't read music.
You don't.
No, but I'm a good mimic.
Okay.
So when I hear it enough times, I'm like, okay.
You kind of do that stuff.
Yeah, but when they first open the book, I'm like, I don't.
What is going on here?
What?
Somebody started off.
I would rather learn a different language.
All right. So Sonoma Arts Live, just so people don't know, tell me what that is and what they do.
So Sonoma Arts Live, and you touched on this, they are a nonprofit theater company that actually exists inside of the Sonoma Community Center. So it's just off the plaza, which makes it really convenient to have dinner and then go see a show.
Yep.
And they have a full season of shows.
Yeah.
Most of them are musicals, but there are actual...
Because they've done dramas too, I think, or comedies too.
They do dramas and comedies, just straight plays.
Okay.
And they have a full season. So their next show is Light in the Piazza.
Okay.
And that'll go up, I think, at the end of this month.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful Italian operetta. So
Oh, yeah, look at that. Light in the Piazza.
it's gorgeous.
This
beautiful.
romantic musical is set in the 1950s and tells the story of Margaret Johnson, a wealthy woman from the American South, and Clara, her daughter, who was impaired due to a childhood accident. Oh, boy. Okay.
Drama.
They do all sorts of great plays, and it's amateur. I mean, you guys are...
Yeah.
Are you guys paid?
We're given a light
stipend?
stipend, which
The covers
any theater person will tell you. They're like, cool, that paid for my stockings, my new shoes, and my
Oh,
makeup.
so you got to buy some of your stuff.
You have to buy all your stuff.
Okay.
The costumes are definitely,
If they have them there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we always like to add some pieces of our own personal closets.
So it fits too.
Yeah, exactly. And, some jewelry, some enhancements.
Okay. So people do it because they're passionate about it.
Absolutely.
It's your hobby.
I strongly suggest anybody that's listening or watching, if you did theater in high school or college and then your life got the better of you and you're like, that would be so fun to do it again, you can. It's actually very easy. And the theater community, especially in Sonoma County, up and down the 101, Spreckles, 6th Street, Cinnabar, Sonoma Arts Live, we love seeing new people join.
Okay. That's actually good to know.
It's so fun. And I always say it's the one hobby you can do at every stage of your life. Because you will always find accommodations for sitting, standing, needing to move at a different pace. And you can always find a character that corresponds with the age you look at the time. So, I'm moving into the mom roles, right? And a long time ago, I was like the ingenue girly roles, the small girls, So now I'm moving up.
So you get to do all the more serious roles or...
Yeah. Or the crazy aunt roles, right? Yeah. Which is me and
Mame.
Yeah. I'm too young for Mame.
But I know that musical too.
Good for you. That's a random musical to know.
Thank you. It's been random,
Cheers.
Random musical moments with Tim and Chelsea.
Yeah.
There we go.
Or something.
All right, now Chelsea, in addition to doing the theater and knowing a lot about canoes and jumping out of
beer.
helicopters and beer, you also have signed up to be a volunteer at our visitor center.
Yes.
You're one of our fill and floater, covert ops people. You get in there.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Well, it wasn't because of Tim. I tell you that. Tim didn't sell it to me.
Not at all.
No. So when I became a travel agent full time, that really opened up my schedule because now the time is mine to use as I want to throughout the day.
Because you work from home as a travel
Exactly.
agent.
So I work for myself. I work from home. I get to set my own schedule. But even though I live here and I'm really involved here, and I know a lot about the Valley and then also the greater Sonoma County, in terms of being in the know with the insider knowledge, what's happening weekly on the plaza or up and down the Valley, it was very apparent that the best place for me to get that information and gain that knowledge and that insight was joining the visitor center.
Oh, great.
And so, fun fact, I once applied to work at the visitor center as a job.
You did.
Yeah. So this is.
Thank you for your resume. We have it on file.
I probably didn't.
How long ago was that?
I think it was 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So prior to you being in the visitor center.
Maybe I've been there about a while, but we haven't done a lot of hiring.
No. It's
people,
hard.
People do stay in this job. I mean, as you know, the visitor services reps, who are the paid staff, they're there for a long time. They love it. They're very dedicated.
Yeah.
They're very good. They keep
Absolutely.
themselves, like you said, they know everything about Sonoma Valley because they take that very seriously, and they love helping people. And the volunteers the same way. So again, we still have you on file.
Yeah. So I snuck in the back door. And now I'm like, I won't even get paid for it.
Right.
I don't even need money.
But
I'm
good news is you only have to work an hour or two.
Exactly.
And then you can get out.
Oh,
of it.
thank God. I can only take so much of Tim.
It is pretty well. And you started when we were at the Carnegie and we had the cart outside.
Yes.
And you're natural because there is a certain level of extroversion you have to have.
Yeah, you have to snatch people as they're walking by.
Yes, I
You
told
just have
guys.
to grab random strangers.
Okay, so this is what I said. The model. Okay, so we used to have people come in.
Yeah.
And that works too. Mm-hmm. But as you know, at that old building, you had to go up steps and whatever. So put people in the cart and you grab people. And basically, and I will give them credit, the Jehovah's Witnesses on the corner are really good. They are. They're super friendly and they're very good at talking to people and asking them how they're doing and handing out information.
Exactly.
And I was like, guys,
You're approachable.
do what they're doing and be friendly and do whatever. And that was kind of the model for having the visitor services reps and the volunteers out front and walking around talking to people. And you were natural, Chelsea. I'll tell you.
I
saw
hate
you
talking to
doing it.
people. Oh my God.
See that totally.
Man.
Now we moved to Toscano Hotel, historic building, a lot more people coming in.
Yeah.
A lot more spaces for volunteers. We're trying to figure out how to get more volunteers or staff. I'll dip back into that resume pile.
I don't know, maybe.
Just see what's
I don't know. I have a job now.
down there. I know. I've moved on. But what I like is it's people like you who really love Sonoma and Sonoma Valley, and they bring their own personal things. Like you will talk often about theater.
Absolutely.
And the things that you like.
And UFO Jim.
UFO Jim.
Come
okay,
on.
bring it up.
You know UFO
Come
Jim.
on. Okay.
That's
You know
a deep
what?
cut in
You know
Sonoma.
what? Oh my God.
That's a deep cut.
Go. Who's UFO Jim?
Oh my God. Don't get me started on UFO Jim. I don't even know if he lives here. Does he do a circuit?
He does. I think he used to have a show on this a
He
radio
would.
show.
He would.
So UFO Jim, tell me how you heard about him.
The only thing I know about UFO Jim is that he comes out once a year to Sonoma Community Center, which is where I perform my theater.
Right.
And I saw on the marquee that's out front, and it was like UFO Jim, and it was in October. So I'm like, okay, we have to go. I believe in aliens, not ironically.
Okay.
So I was like, we got to go.
Okay.
And I'm ready. I'm ready to be sucked into the cult of whoever UFO Jim was or is
Right.
or
Okay,
is
good.
not.
Yep.
So I go and I bring my poor fiance with
Okay.
me. He was unprepared.
Okay.
And I was like, we're going. We come in and very clearly,
Yep.
you know that we don't belong. There is a certain number of people that go to UFO Jim. It's almost like you show up to a locals pub trivia.
Oh,
Everybody knows each other.
Right.
And you just come in
You're there
thinking,
in the corner.
and you're like, wow, everybody knows each other, and
Yes.
I am out of
Yes.
the loop. So we just sit in the back, and everybody's enjoying. Watch, somebody's probably listening right now that is a UFO Jim person. Call in.
I'm on the website because, and they can also send us questions.
Send us questions
about
UFO Jim.
And so he does his presentation.
He does his presentation, and
Is it like a PowerPoint or does
it's
he
a
just talk?
PowerPoint.
Okay.
And he's got his little laptop up. There's some videos. He apparently every year he does a different theme.
Okay.
So the theme that we went was him showing us clips of Close Encounters of the Third Kind by
movie?
Steven Spielberg,
Okay.
and saying he would literally like play a clip.
Right.
The clip runs, and then he would pause it. He would look straight at us, and he would be like, "There is more truth than fiction in this scene." And then he would just move on, and we were like, "What? What?"
Wait, how do I hit the X Files button?
We were
What is
like,
that
"Well, tell us why." Like, I'm like, wait, I have like a notebook. I'm like, please just tell me why. Like, tell me give me the facts.
Okay.
No facts.
No.
He would just go on to the next clip.
I mean, no facts. That probably was the fact that there's more truth than fiction in that clip.
Exactly.
So maybe not more supporting facts.
I was like, Jim, what are your sources?
Yeah.
What's your first source?
on that.
Who did you interview about that?
Did he answer questions?
No. So it was definitely like, maybe we saw an off year. Maybe
No, I'm going to get him in here.
get him in here. I
wanna
have
see
some questions.
from UFO Jim.
Yeah.
So, okay, now we're going sideways. I didn't have Chelsea Smith UFO
UFOs?
person on here.
I will bring UFOs up.
How long have you been like a UFO person?
7th grade. Exactly. I'm a weird person.
No.
I don't know if you realize this. I'm giving you all my good stories.
Okay, so go for the UFO story.
So 7th grade
Yes.
in Folsom,
Yes.
at prison school. No, I'm just kidding. 7th grade, we had to do a couple of speeches, right? You have to learn how to talk in front of humans.
Right.
I had no problem with that.
Yeah.
But you had to pick, as a 7th grader, it was a persuasive speech.
Okay.
So persuade the audience on an opinion or something. So people are doing their speeches on like why the Backstreet Boys are better than NSYNC.
That's right.
And that was really big back in
That's
the
true.
day. It is true.
Definitely
Thank you.
true.
Thank you.
NSYNC is the Temu Backstreet Boys.
Exactly. Thank you.
You got it.
And so me, without ever understanding the consequences of my actions, I decided to go full X-Files deep dive cult, and I went to the library and pulled out every UFO book that I could find with like government, like redacted government files and books.
Did you just take a highlighter and redact it yourself like a black
I did
pen?
a lot of printing. No, oh my God.
Copy.
I did a lot of copy.
Look, this is redacted.
Redacted. Chelsea, you're redacting it right now. So I literally went like full, with the everything and putting it together, and I focused on Roswell.
Yes.
And basically, it was Roswell, New Mexico, was a government conspiracy cover-up.
Okay.
And I literally started out with my 30-something-year-old 7th graders.
Right.
And I said the title, and everybody's face projected back onto me was just like, oh, God. And I was like, uh-oh.
Do they believe you or no?
No, it's a bunch of 7th graders.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
What year were you in 7th grade?
How old is a person in 7th grade?
No. What year roughly in time?
Yeah. Well, I know how old
I have a theory. Like what year? What calendar year? Here's my question. Here's my theory. Was the X-Files popular when you were in 7th grade?
Probably.
I absolutely think it was.
Well, because it was like mid-90s.
Yeah, so I think,
late 90s.
Yeah. So what I think...
Do you think it's a generational thing?
I think... Here's my theory. As you may or may not know, preteens, pubescents, teenagers, their brains are like... when you take the brownies out of the oven too early and you put the toothpick in and it's all like mush and it's not formed
Perfect.
yet. Yeah. And now, even though
it is my brain,
even though supposedly, and I'm sure all the neuroscientists that listen to this and psychologists and sociologists right now angrily, they're writing it angrily. My theory is that you were at an impressionable age.
Absolutely.
You saw Scully and Mulder.
Scully?
Scully.
Scully.
Fox. Scully. See, and you're acting like,
I'm like,
now you're correcting me, so you know their names. And so you saw that and you're like, you believed.
Absolutely. I want to believe.
You can still believe.
I also, there was like a kid's show, which you were probably not aware of.
No.
Called So Weird.
No.
And it was like a teen version of the X-Files.
It was. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that ruined me.
That was so,
and Courage the Cowardly Dog.
But Courage the Cowardly Dog.
That shit's fucked up.
Really?
Yeah. I'm allowed to curse on here, right? Just
Technically,
yes. You told me your parents listen.
They do.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So you watch
pour one out.
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
If you've seen Courage the Cowardly
I'll
Dog,
look it up on YouTube. Yeah.
There's one about
Yeah.
eggplant people living under the earth.
No, in Mount Shasta, there are people living in Mount Shasta, supposedly, underneath this cavern of crystals.
What?
Yes. Yes, and at that conference,
I'm
which
ready.
I began with the conversation, supposedly Mount Shasta is sort of like this entrance into like the world. Like there's different places where the underworld and the overworld go.
Yes.
And I can't remember. It's like Tellurians or something. People believe that there's like a crystal kingdom down there.
I love it.
I'm not so good on this stuff, right?
UFO Jim would be.
UFO
we got him
Jim
in
would be
here.
into it, and he would know, and he would be correcting me.
Bring his laptop.
He probably also wouldn't mispronounce the X-Files characters.
No, he would not.
He would completely know.
Absolutely not. Oh my God.
I feel so bad now.
So yeah, and Sonoma, by the way, fun fact, I'm also into cryptids. Are you even surprised?
You are the second person on this podcast to mention cryptids.
Good.
Someone
I
else
bet
wrote a
that
book.
person didn't have a cryptid bathroom.
She wrote a book about cryptid and cryptids that reproduce with humans.
I do need to read this. What's her name?
Bethany Browning. She's a local author.
Good for her.
And she has a whole thing about cryptids being. So what is a cryptid? We should start with that.
Oh, it's like a mythological creature.
Sasquatch.
A Sasquatch, a jackalope, alien.
Mothman, alien.
Mothman.
Yeah, Mothman. So
I love Mothman.
You are big into cryptids.
Oh, I have a bathroom of cryptids.
Like
the guest bathroom.
Like the guest bathroom, like the shower stall, the shower curtain is
like I have a wallpaper. The wallpaper is like forest setting, but then there's an alien abducting a human.
Really?
It's so cool. I will text it to you later. Okay. And you can put it on the Facebook or something.
Okay, I love that.
Can we have Bethany Brown?
Bethany Browning.
Can we have her and me and you cracking cold ones and talking about cryptids?
We could. She is also an incredibly talker, so there'd be a lot of talking. Like the three of us
turn
together.
Off the podcast.
Yeah, it would be. Yes, she is way into it. She also wrote a cozy, which is a type of mystery drama where there's usually like a character who lives in a small town, solves crimes, and has like an animal that helps them. They drink like a lot of tea.
Dude, yeah. No, I read those.
Yeah. So
again, I'm a reader. So I know what a cozy is.
Bethany Browning, and then she wrote the whole cryptid series.
Good for her. Did you know Napa has a cryptid? I'm sure you talked to Bethany about this.
Tell me about the Napa cryptid.
Ugh. What are they called again? Hold on. The rebobs.
What and where do?
The only reason I know this, by the way,
yes,
because I try not to think about Napa too much.
No, you can.
Sometimes.
Hey, it's just east of Eden.
That's true. That's true.
It is.
So the rebobs are like, depending on who you talk to, in Napa, they're like gorillas / robots / that's it. I don't know. I think they're robot
/
gorillas.
Robot gorillas.
Monkeys. But they fly.
Monkeys. They fly.
So they're kind of like
Where do they?
the Wizard of Oz flying monkeys.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Where do they live?
A hill in Napa.
Like Angwin or something like that? They're up in the hill, Lake Berryessa? Just up in Napa somewhere.
Up in Napa. I don't live there, Tim. I don't live in Napa. I'm not supposed to know about Napa.
Sorry, this isn't the Napa Nabob podcast. This is the Sonoma Spiel.
I choose not to know about it. I'm just kidding. The rebobs live somewhere up a mountain because there was some German scientist. It all comes back to Germany.
We have gone so sideways.
We are talking about a valley of wine country.
So there is, I think,
we don't have a cryptid.
Do we?
Call in. Is there?
Put in the comments. Does Sonoma Valley have a cryptid? Is there a mythical creature that lives somewhere in and around Sonoma Valley? Let us know in the comments because I think
another comment.
Yeah.
Please tell me your UFO stories around Sonoma. Like, has anybody up on a mountain?
Oh, I'm sure.
Like up on Rapri, like in Sonoma?
Up there on Moon Mountain. Yeah.
I bet there's some sightings.
I think anywhere where you're in a rural area and it's dark at night and, there's not many people, there might be actual cryptids or the feeling of cryptids or aliens or something different happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Sonoma is dark enough
Yep.
that up at Sugarloaf, right?
That's why we have an observatory.
Exactly.
What are they observatorying?
Yeah, what are they observing if not Sonoma County cryptids? Come on. I bet like Healdsburg or Cloverdale would have some great...
No. Cloverdale definitely has cryptids.
Yeah.
If you've been up to Cloverdale, and I'm not going to call it Clover-Tucky, but...
I have not heard this.
I shouldn't have
Is this an offensive term?
It might be. I feel bad about that. To my friends who live, Alexandra, Christopher, Robert,
Shout
Disney,
out.
I apologize for making fun of Cloverdale.
Tim does say he owes you a beer.
I owe you a beer. No, I owe Robert a lot of beer. He makes paella. He's very good at it.
I brought Robert.
There's
so
your
I'll give these to you. You
paella,
give them.
Robert Montez. He makes great paella.
Perfect. Thank you. Invite me next time.
You're invited. He pops up at wineries here all the time. He's actually.
Wait, is he the paella guy?
He's one of the paella guys.
Okay.
He's the. I can't say that he's the best because I love them all equally.
Who doesn't love paella?
He makes really good paella.
They're truly Tuesday night markets. They're starting up again. What date? When are they starting again?
Whose podcast is this? I asked the questions.
Oh my God. But I was going to say they have
talking while I look up their opening date.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. They have a paella food truck.
Yes.
I think most Tuesdays.
I can't remember if it's April or if it's May. Sonoma Tuesday Night Market.
Do it. Yeah. So anyway,
Here we go.
Next time you go to the Sonoma Market on Tuesday nights at the Plaza, you need a paella night.
May.
It's in May. Okay.
You got some time. Sonoma Tuesday Night Market's fantastic.
I love it. And not to make it about me again.
What? Please, it's your podcast.
I am your special guest. I was thinking, wouldn't that be fun if I did a little pop-up and I was like a vendor and talked about my beer cruise and other
I was saying
travel
you could just do pop-up theater in a booth.
Whoa.
And that's how you could do it.
I would love that.
So
we need some more weird
I have an
vendors.
idea. I'm trying to get some other, I'm gonna talk to you just because it's just you and I here. No one's listening.
Literally.
But there's so many
Sworn
theater
to
people
secrecy.
here.
There are.
You know puppets, right?
I love puppets.
Right. And you know that Martine at the Beacon / Taub, his wife is a puppet. She's a puppeteer. She's a world famous puppet person.
What?
Yeah.
Why
yeah,
isn't
Taub?
Taub a puppet theater?
That has been exactly my point, Chelsea.
Is that literally what you're going to say?
No, because, and what were we going to use for our scripts? What were the scripts going to be?
About Sonoma?
The best of next door on Sonoma.
Oh.
Puppets about
yeah.
next door. Like, what's that helicopter doing? I don't know. What is that helicopter? And then, like, we have these random people, and the scripts, they don't write themselves. They're already written.
Literally.
It could be about dogs, potholes, cryptids.
You know that I'm on the east side of Sonoma Valley Facebook group.
Okay.
That is it pops off.
That's what I'm
on
saying.
Facebook.
So we have puppets
That would
performing at Taub or another location.
I love it. Murphy's.
Murphy's could do it.
This is UFO Jim can pop up as
That's
a puppet.
exactly it.
Tim.
That's exactly
As a
it.
puppet?
So I want to do the next door theater or Facebook theater. I need someone who knows how to make puppets.
I don't, but I'll do it.
All I can do is a sock with drawing on or felt. I can do that. That's my level.
I'd pay $5 to see
Exactly.
that.
Wouldn't it be
and
fun?
then you get paella involved, and you're like,
And
pop
we
up
get the
paella.
Right.
And then everybody's literally sitting there eating paella, watching Sonoma County puppets.
Thank you.
I think it's an excellent.
We're going to get it. Let's manifest that. We're going to manifest it.
It's already manifested.
We're doing
It's
it.
happening.
All right, we're going sideways.
Yeah,
I occasionally have scripts.
I'm just going to be real honest with you right now. I'm a very unmanaged person.
Right.
So I think this makes
This has
sense
been
for
wonderful.
you
No, this is great.
as well as
Yeah,
me.
this is how I roll. Okay, but I do want to, because you have to answer some visitor questions.
Is it time?
It is time. Before we get there, though,
Okay.
if people want more information about this amazing beer cruise,
Yes.
Should
Should I give them my phone number? It's my business phone number.
your business
Or-
phone number? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Or you know what? You can email me.
Do that.
It's a little safer, you know?
It's up to you. Yeah.
Okay. So you can email me at c.smith@cruiseplanners.com.
c.smith@cruiseplanners.com.
Exactly.
Okay, that stands for Chelsea Smith.
It does. I made it easy.
A travel planner.
Travel planner.
And you'll find more information about the beer cruise to Europe and the possible upcoming beer cruise to Sonoma Creek,
Yes.
which we're working on.
I truly want to do a Sonoma Visitor Center cruise. We should do one.
Like you
host it.
Okay.
You go.
Okay.
As the host.
Okay.
But then, like, we could just build one.
Do I just walk around in a velvet jacket? Like, hey.
Yes.
Like that?
Well, so
Hey.
I have to say,
Yeah.
as a host, so I'm just like putting it together.
Right.
Rebecca's like the face.
Oh, she's
of
the
it.
host. Okay.
Yeah, she's like, but I'm here, you
Right.
know, as the builder of the whole thing
Right.
and the ideas. But you would be a great host. It does not need to be beer themed. We could just do
be
a
like-
cool cruise.
It could just be like cruising.
Cruising with Sonoma.
It'd be fun.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it
I
would
can
be-
do that. I didn't know that was a thing.
you can literally do that.
Talk to a cruise planner.
You know, I know someone.
Our dreams come true.
I know someone.
All right, let's do these questions. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, take a sip.
Hold on.
So here we go. You take a sip. I can take a sip. Okay.
How far down are you?
Well, not as far because I'm
like
pretty
here.
far. I'm about right there.
Okay.
That's not
you
bad.
can catch up.
I will get there. So, okay, Chelsea, as you know, we have 2 visitor centers. People call us, text us, email us, letter us, fax us. We've been getting actually a lot of letters to info@sonomavalley.com.
Love it.
They ask us all sorts of questions. You're going to help me in a segment we call We Get Questions. First question.
Okay.
This came in on the Sonoma County Foodies Facebook page.
Oh.
Hey, gonna be in Sonoma tomorrow, and I'm hoping for recommendations on a good place for lunch.
Ooh. I always like to ask follow-up questions, but because we can't,
Right.
if you had kids,
Yes.
I would say, because it's a great day, this weekend is going to be gorgeous, so you don't have to worry about wind or rain or clouds, Kivelstadt
Oh yeah, good spot.
at Bloom. So Bloom is their restaurant,
Right. Down there south of town.
south of town. So it's a little off the plaza, but it's 5 minutes.
Right.
Just
not
drive.
far,
It's
not
fine.
far. It's between our 2 visitor centers, actually.
Exactly.
Between Jacuzzi and the plaza.
So if you're coming from like the South Bay coming up, or you're coming from Sacramento coming up, you won't miss it.
Good spot.
Kivelstadt, Bloom. You can do a wine pairing with the beer, or sorry, I'm just thinking of beer now. A wine pairing, and you could drink beer, and you can have lunch, and they have a kids play area, and you can bring your dog,
Okay, it's good.
and they have a dog menu.
All the stuff. Mm-hmm. And the menu is for things you can order for the dog.
Yes, you can literally order dog, like human food for your dog.
Got
I'll
it.
bring it out, put in a little bowl.
You know what we do at home? We just drop it when we're cooking. and then my dog just eats it.
Just
Just right there.
right up there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's a good one.
Yep. And then if you wanted to stay on the plaza,
Okay.
and they wanted lunch,
Just lunch.
okay, I would do the cantina
Okay.
window,
The window,
at
yeah.
El Dorado Hotel. So El Dorado Hotel is a corner hotel / restaurant, which is an excellent place for dinner. But I would say maybe it's a little fancy for lunch. So my suggestion would be go around the corner
Yeah.
and order from their open window at the cantina.
Yeah.
It takes about 15, 20 minutes because they're actually home making it. So you do
right.
wait a little bit.
Right.
But then you grab it and then you go sit in the plaza and you just eat it in the park.
That's
And I
exactly
would grab wine from the cheese factory.
Good job.
You can get your own wine and then
Yep.
I would just bring it out to the plaza and
And have a good time.
have a picnic.
That was easy. That was good. See?
Thank
Good
you.
job.
I'm on Sonoma Foodies. I probably answered that question.
Maybe that was your question.
I was like-
maybe you've been priming the pump. Here's one. I hear that some wineries will waive a tasting fee if you buy some bottles of wine.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true? And which ones?
Ooh, which ones? I would say most cases you can, as somebody who did work at a winery, we didn't advertise it, but you certainly could ask, and it was completely, they were happy to do so.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And so many of them will do that. So for example, there are wineries that have no tasting fee, like Meadowcroft
Yes.
has no tasting
Complimentary.
fee. Complimentary. Other wineries will have a tasting fee, and,
Mm-hmm.
they do vary in price from like $20 to $40 to $50 to $60,
Exactly.
depending on what your experience is.
A lot of times you can say, like, you're joining the wine club, and then they will conveniently offer what that means for you today. And usually it's tasting fees waived up to a certain number of bottles that you buy. And obviously, if you're drinking wine at Repris or somewhere that's over $100 for a tasting, you're buying a little bit more wine right off the bat.
Right there.
You know.
So you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And so many wineries will offer waived or rebated fees. Some which do. Ready? Bartholomew Estate, Caddis, Klein, Cochon, Fulcrum, Highway 12. Usually it's by 2 bottles. Sometimes it's 3 bottles. But your fee is included. So
Shout out to Highway 12.
it's a
love
fun
them.
winery.
I know.
Fun winery.
They're
And
casual.
Paul is really good. I've had
I
him on
love
the podcast.
Paul.
He's really good. Yeah, so. Okay, so we have a full listing of that on our website. Hello. I'm planning a laid-back bachelorette trip for 7 people this summer.
Love it.
Are there any resorts or boutique hotels that have larger 3 to 4 bedroom residences? So not an Airbnb,
No.
but more like it's sort of like a boutique place.
Yeah. As a travel agent, I could totally help you out with this. I also planned my own bachelorette
Oh yeah, you
like
did.
2 months ago.
Oh,
Wasn't here though.
well, I mean, you can't.
Yeah, I gotta leave
yeah.
to come back and
That's
enjoy.
right. That's right.
And I would say I should know the answer to this better.
Well-
but I would say MacArthur Place probably
go.
has a very bachelorette vibe.
Yeah.
With cottagey styles.
Yes.
Or the lodge has cottages, but I think those cottages are just 2 people.
I think they are, but you're right. Those both have that experience, and they both you could cluster people around.
Exactly.
You could say, oh, I want to get these rooms here.
And if you worked with a travel agent, I'm just saying, you would work with someone that and call the front desk and work with them. Just ask them, hey, I have a big group coming.
Right.
Everybody wants to stay near each other. What is your best suggestion?
Actually, you have a great tip inside there, Chelsea. You basically said if you have a special request,
Yes.
going through, like your Expedias, your Travelocities, you're probably not going to get it.
No.
The best bet is use a travel agent or travel, what do they call you guys now? Travel advisor.
Yeah.
Somebody who has a relationship or a little more leverage.
Yeah.
Or call the property directly.
Exactly.
And talk to them for special requests.
Yes.
Because that's oftentimes a better way to get what you want.
And one more thing about the Bachelorette,
Yeah.
I would also suggest a spa day at Fairmont Mission Inn and Spa.
Great spa.
That is one of the best spas.
So big.
Incredible.
All these pools. You can sit there and float, and you can get like food while you're there. And
Yeah,
stuff
I
like
did a pre-bachelorette day at the spa, and they have like a real Turkish bathing ritual situation inside, so that you can go in and sit in a hot pool and then get like a bucket of cold water thrown on your back, and somehow that's supposed to be good for you. And then they also have these incredible little nooks that are almost fully enclosed, where they would serve you champagne and you can just lay out in a lounger. And then my favorite thing is their underwater music that they play in one of their pools.
The Watsu pool.
It's awesome. And they're all thermal pools.
Yeah.
So they have mineral. It's actually like literally from a historical point of view, there's historically a mineral springs that runs through Sonoma Valley, and they've tapped into that water supply.
Right.
So
good job.
if you're gonna go experience a luxurious spa day, that's the spa.
That's a good
day.
one there. Yeah, the geothermal
Absolutely.
pools. Those are all good. Those are great answers. I'm putting two more real quick.
Yeah.
Sonoma Bungalows is just off the plaza, and those are essentially small houses that you can rent, but it's sort of like a hotel style. They're built around a court. Yeah.
I love them. I walked in there
Yeah.
once and I was like, literally, I don't know what this is. And he explained to me that they're beautiful little houses, cottage style houses. And during Christmas, they set up on their little patios, little Christmas
They
trees.
do little trees, and you walk
so
by, you
cute.
can see people on the sidewalk. Sonoma Grill and Bars across the street.
Yeah.
The Beacon, and where Taub, where the
Best
sock
cocktails.
and Sock Puppet Theater.
Sock Puppet Theater.
The good cocktails. Psy. So I'm thinking Psy's right down the street. So a good champagne bar right there.
Get smashed and then walk home. Literally walk. They will put you in front of the.
We would recommend appreciate the champagne,
Appreciate the champagne.
and then you can walk 50 feet.
They will point you back. They'll be
Right.
like, "Over
It's
there."
they're
See that
almost
Christmas
contiguous.
tree?
It's right there. Follow the Christmas tree. Now, and then also another one, Bungalows 313, which is on the other side of the plaza.
I love them.
Is a
Gorgeous.
neat property, really small, intimate feel, cool patio / courtyard.
Yeah.
And that's a great spot to check out too.
If you want like your own little oasis where you feel like you disappear once you get into that property, that's a perfect suggestion.
Yeah, and it's on the plaza essentially, but you
You
don't
will
even feel
walk by it and not see it. It's
lot.
in its own little like secret garden
Yeah,
situation.
it's a good one. So Bungalows 313. Okay, final question. This one just came in this morning. So Mark, our volunteer, got it. And then he said, oh, this is a good one. We're looking for a tasting room on the plaza that, one, has a nice garden or patio, and two, might allow us to bring some food in. So tasting room on the plaza with a good garden. And I don't think the food is necessary, but it's like nice. Yeah. So a good garden or patio.
I would, if you're looking for the kind of the coolest garden patio, 3 Sticks,
3 Sticks.
right?
And the historic adobe.
I love the historic buildings around here, so I'm always going to be a sucker for like putting me somewhere where there's like a historic twist to it. It's incredible. You walk in, it's fully enclosed into this like adobe design that's truly from the adobe times. I don't know what year.
It's authentic mud.
And they told me the story about it. There's a designer that like redid their whole backyard, but you literally feel like you've stepped into another world, almost like you go to like Italy, like you've suddenly arrived in Italy and you're surrounded. I don't know about the food though, but everything else.
So that's a great one. If you want a great patio / garden experience.
Yeah, that
3
one
Sticks Winery, yes.
is not a walk-in. You got to get reservations.
No, ahead of time. But so 2 that are walk-in, you could do Obsidian.
I was gonna say Obsidian.
Yeah, down a little pathway.
I do love it.
It's really good. You are tucked in on the plaza there. Great little feeling back there.
Yeah.
And if you talk to them, I bet you could bring like picnic items. Like
That is yes.
go to the cheese factory, get like a little thing to go or something like that. Another one, Roche Tasting Room, next to Girl on the Fig, Roche, and you actually already mentioned it.
Beer.
They have beer.
They do have
They
beer.
do have beer,
Yes.
right? So if you like beer, they have beer. But also, right across the street is the window from the El Dorado Cantina. And I think you can say, hey, can I go get some tacos?
Oh, tell him Tim said that was fine. Literally just be like, yeah, Tim, Mr. Teeth.
Oh, the guy.
Oh, you know Mr. Teeth? Yeah, he said it was fine.
See if that works. If not,
You'd be
tell
like,
him,
oh, we're closed.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, we're not.
tell him your
Do not come back
Tell him
here.
your travel advisor, Chelsea Smith.
Yeah, no, get me kicked out of the city.
Yeah, for
They'll
there.
be like,
But yeah,
no,
so I
they
think
would
it's good.
totally let you do that.
That's a really fun, low key place. They're open late.
Yes, and
good patio
dogs.
there.
I'm pretty sure they let you have
I
dogs.
think you have dogs. It's outdoors, and it's in the garden.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. I think it has to be your dog.
I can't just take
You
somebody's
can't
dog.
just grab a dog.
I can't just grab somebody's dog and take
No.
them in. Huh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but maybe we could work on that.
Yes.
Borrow a dog day.
I do have to thank the Sonoma County Visitor Center for hosting us volunteers a couple
right.
weeks ago
Yeah.
at Roche.
Was it fun?
It was so fun.
Yeah.
And they were pouring us beers, which is my favorite part.
Yeah.
And they have the cool thing about the beer stuff is that it's sort of in its own little space where it looks like a true German like brew house.
Right.
So it almost looks like there's like a chalet or something and it's like wood everywhere. So it's a really cool experience, especially I know you're traveling with people that love wine, but there's always that one person that's like, oh my God, if I could just have a freaking beer right now.
There are some people that they want beer. And some people want at different times. So it's wonderful that Roche has that.
Absolutely.
And you can do it. And that's, when you're on the beer cruise, you're going to find out about it.
Oh my gosh, the beer cruise. I'm so excited.
So, Chelsea, you've been a wonderful guest. You know a lot about stuff. Before we move on and say goodbye, tell me one more time, how can people find out about your travel agency / beer cruise / everything else you do? Best way to contact you.
Best way, I'm going to give you my phone number. It's my business line.
Okay, good.
Just do it. You can text me or phone call 707-304-2190. That's my business line. Or you can email me at c.smith@cruiseplanners.com.
Good. I love it. And we're going to work on that Sonoma Valley cruise eventually.
Honestly, wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, taking Sonoma on the road.
I know.
We're going to do it.
Yeah.
All right. So after you've done that, after you've done everything and signed up for all of Chelsea's stuff and her emails and everything you need.
Yeah.
After you've done that, please go to sonomavalley.com for deals, special offers, and events. You can find out we're going into spring in Sonoma. Lovely time to be here. All the events are starting to pop off, and all that's at sonomavalley.com. Chelsea, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Tim. Cheers.
Cheers. This is great.
Ciao.
All right. Mom and Dad, thanks for listening. See you guys next week.
Or
Goodbye.
something.